Alors, aujourd'hui, j'ai la chance d'être avec le grand Ludwig Albert. Hello, sir. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Oui, et vous?
Ça va très bien, merci beaucoup. Could you talk about what you do now as a teacher and as an artist?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I celebrate this year 25 years career. I mean, I start to celebrate this.
Oh, happy birthday!
Already last year.
25. That's nice.
Yeah, 25 indeed. So a lot happened actually. Also, I mean, 5 years Adams, 15 years Yamaha. I have also my mallet line with innovative percussion in America, which is 10 years. I have my career 25 years. So what happened in that, several CDs were done already from a few years ago in order to celebrate this 25 years. I did some album with own works, like concerto, some solo works, some duo works. I did some album in the commercial way with marimba ensemble. I go to do now a new album soon, which will be something totally different. Actually, over the years, I tried each album I made to do something totally different.
And can we know what the new album is going to be about?
The new album will be with orchestra, but will also be with band, with bass, with drums. It will be a collaboration with some songwriters from Holland, meaning songwriters in the pop area. And so we're working on it. So I think all the songs, all the tracks are decided, which will be worked out further. From September we start with that process. It will be totally different surprise. But every album I try to find something else, or I work with some other artist, or I'm not like most of usual artists that they keep working on this contemporary or classic repertoire and then they make a recording. Actually, I never did that. I always tried from the first album to find something else, to improvise or to compose some own works. I'm not a composer, but regularly I compose something. I consider myself as an occasional composer. I'm not a composer who's constantly working on, to get a piece done, so I don't call myself being a composer, but I like to compose occasionally for some albums. And the next album will be, I will show now in October, kind of avant premiere in Poland, with orchestra there. There will be a lot of some cover songs, and there will be some new songs, but it will be a surprise. And then I will also do, I try to do an album then with the classic repertoire. I don't know yet. I start to think about this. I go to look in the really super classic repertoire, not for marimba, but in the really classic music for piano solo, and I go to really make a selection of really works that I love incredible, Rachmaninoff or whatever, or Satie or Ravel, and make a selection of this and go to make a special version with marimba. That's the plan. So 2 albums will come out probably this next year, in 1-2 years. I will travel to usual festivals. I will go to Korea. I go to Korea often. I go to Russia every year. I will go to China probably. China's asking already for years, but I was always not free, or there was always some reason I couldn't go. But there are plans for China. There are plans for Taiwan also. So a lot will happen.
Okay, nice.
In the frame of 25 years.
Great. Could you talk a bit about your partnership with Adams?
Yes. First of all, I worked with Yamaha for many years, for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I met Adams, of course, during the years. And the factory of Adams is actually located only like 30 minutes from my home.
Oh.
And one moment they asked me if I would like to work with them. And actually, first of all, I was not so crazy about the idea because I really liked Yamaha marimba in that time. It's mainly for the sound what I like to produce. And Yamaha marimba was for me the most comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then Adams decided to construct a little different instrument by my request, and they did so, and I liked it, and from that moment I started to work with them. It's like now 5 years only.
5 years, okay. And so you developed like this instrument, whose your marimba signature.
Yes.
Can you just talk about the process you used with Adams to create it?
Yeah, first of all, for me it was very important because this one doesn't show, but I like the round bars.
Mm-hmm.
Because personally, for me it is easier to reach a very rounded tone on bars that are rounded. On the square bars like here,
okay,
I don't find really 100% the way to reach the sound that I want.
When it's rounded?
When it's round, when the bars are rounded, I succeeded more to get a rounder shape in the tone production.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me technically why, it's only the hearing and the feeling I have about it. So then Adams decided to make them round. Also the bars are treated differently. My bars are normally red colored, so the procedure how they color the bars and how they put the last layer is different with the other bars they use for their other models.
Okay.
At the other hand, I liked also to get the golden resonators, but also lacked inside, not only outside, because I feel that when it's lacked inside, that the production is more rich in tone. Mm-hmm. So they did that for this model, so meaning gold lacking outside and inside, which gives a longer, a more warmer undertone in the sound.
Okay.
Then what is normally in all their models not used is they always have this voyager system.
Yeah.
But I like to have a construct system that is not does not give a shaking situation. So that's why they made that moment this one, because you see this height system with Adams is typical from them. They couldn't change this.
Yeah.
This has to be remain, so that's why they worked it out like this. But this model is now like 5 years, but they're working now on a new model. I mean, it will be my model, but it will be designed differently.
Oh, so
it's in the process. It's going to be a few months, and then it will be done.
Oh,
so they only go to change the frame situation, and they go to change also the bars. They go to make the bars longer, a little longer, as surely the high octave. Okay. Also for the same reason, to have a more clear tone production in the high register. So several things are going to change in a few months. It will be done, I think.
And when it's going to be available on the catalog?
Yeah, for this moment they still sell this model, of course, and then once it's designed, I think it will be quickly done, but I expect it will be like half year later it will be available.
Okay, really nice.
They're going to change all their models actually, it's not only mine. So they decided, they have kind of the latest alpha model you heard about, which is made by some young guys, some designers, and they're going to use their concept for all their models, also from size model. So they are going to use like one general design line, and each model will have some specific differences related to the artist.
Okay. That's
In my
interesting.
case, it will be different bars, different resonators, and different frame.
Okay.
But the design of the alpha model, meaning the shape, will probably be maintained in all their models now.
I would like to ask you, like, maybe the composers, you classic composers you really like right now.
I like Rachmaninoff very much.
Yeah.
I like Mahler
Okay.
and Shostakovich.
Okay.
Those are my three favorite composers.
Composer.
Of course, I also do like, for example, the Ravel, yes, Satie, this kind of period. I also like. But let's say Shostakovich, Mahler, they are my most favorite ones.
Okay. And three marimba solo pieces you really like right now.
Which I really like right now is Toccata from Ignatovic,
Okay.
Nymphline from Marian Zoltan, I probably pronounced it wrong, and a third one, another one, and then the contemporary one is Moi Je from
Bruno Monteverdi.
Yeah, those are my three favorite pieces at the moment. I didn't play them, but I like them very much.
Okay.
Toccata I surely want to study or practice soon. I want to play the piece, I love it very much. That's my favorite number one.
Okay. And could you talk about your book? You have a book out now.
Yeah,
Could you just quickly present it?
I don't have it with me. I mean, I will talk about it.
You know the magic with internet that I'm gonna put the picture right there now.
Okay, fine, right now, ping. No, that's actually that's a surprise. A very special story about this. So, I studied in Japan with Keiko. Everyone know that, but during that period, after my study there, I played a lot with her during several years, and after that, I came back to Belgium and we started to organize marimba competition. And the first edition, we invited a very known, famous Belgian piano player to be president of the jury, because I rather preferred to have a president of the jury which is not a percussionist or marimba player, which is a neutral person, very objective in if it would be a situation that there will be an argue that there's a president who can say for both. And he was piano player, so after the end of the week, he was a very famous person. No one will know him anymore, but he was a classic piano player, he was a jazz player, he was conductor with all the major orchestras. In his young period, when he was 18 to 25, he worked with the most famous conductors. He was super famous as a young piano virtuoso, especially for Bela Bartok. So it was a very great guy. He sold millions of LPs with all the major labels. So I was very, very happy that he accepted to be their president. So at the end of the week, I asked him, like, it was an honor that you were here, and I hope that you had a nice time and that you will come back for the next competition. And he said, no, never. And I thought he's joking, or said, why? What's the reason? Because I don't hear music. I only hear hitting the instrument. I hear indeed percussion. I indeed hear Schlagzeug, or because people hit too much on the instrument. I don't hear enough about phrasing, about breathing, about colorization. And then in that time we had all the known marimba players there together, but actually when you spoke in the marimba world about colorization, no one speaks about this. We speak about articulation, we speak about the grip, we speak about technique, and we speak about dynamics, and
Yeah.
but about colorization, no one speak. If you will record Satie or Ravel or Debussy, you know what I mean. A lot we have to do a lot more than what we usually do in marimba.
Just hitting. Yeah.
That's colorization. But in that time, I was shocked that he reacted like this, and I started to think, actually, if a piano player or a famous guy like him is telling this means that they should change a lot in the marimba environment, actually, on that moment. But I was not so much into technical training, also not when I was student myself. Of course, I studied technique, I studied the grips, but I was not so crazy about that. But I was always very inspired by the sound that comes out. No one told me anything that time, but I know, of course, there was Steve's book came out on that moment, and everyone was studying it and everyone was practicing it, which I also did. But I did not find my motivation in the technical books to do more. I found my motivation more and inspiration more in the sound that you produce on the instrument. So then, actually, in 2000, I start to have an invitation from from PS, Percussive Art Society,
From?
percussion,
Yeah.
PS in America. They invited me to do a big clinic over there, which I actually refused because my approach to marimba was surely not in the order of what was happening in America, in the States on that moment. But then actually a few years later they kept insisting that I should come. Because I made first albums, I always received like a lot of press reviews that they were always talking about my sound, which I even never thought about. You know, it's for me a normal thing to do. But then when I start to travel abroad, everywhere the newspapers always talked about this amazing, unique sound. And I started to teach on that moment, was in 2000. The first students arrived, and the students were always asking me, but how can I do this? How, because when you do it, it's so beautiful sound, and how can I make it sound like this? And on that moment, my answer was like, yeah, listen what you do, you know. I was not experienced in teaching. But because the students kept insisting, but how can I do the same, or how can I make it sound better? That I start to work a lot on movement, on strokes, design of a lot of strokes. We all know down and up stroke and tap stroke from rudiments, but on marimba actually, still nowadays, you see that people have one stroke and that's it. The only thing they do is they play piano or they play forte, but they keep stroking every note the same thing. As long as we keep doing this, we cannot color on the instrument, it's impossible. So that's why I start to design all those strokes, which are around 50 strokes that my students constantly use during their play. They have to learn this. No other way. Doesn't mean that it's obliged, but it will help them to find a more wider palette of different colors. And some students do it very optimal, some students use it in a more limited way. I don't mind so much, but they have to do something to reach a coloring in their play and to reach a beautiful phrasing and a beautiful tone production. So my book is speaking about that because I did a PhD, because the university I teached in Antwerp asked me to do a PhD. And I used actually my concept of teaching, of method, for this PhD. But I also analyzed, of course, I studied all the grips. I played traditional Burton Stevens in that time as a student. And when I teach, I don't mind so much what grip people play, but the grip they choose, they have to be able to do it as good as possible, not technically, but as good as possible to reach the best sound that they can catch. And I teach them in order of the grip they choose, the malice they choose, to find the best way to get a rich sonority in their play. And then the application of all those strokes will help them to color more or to make important in the music which is important and make the rest less important and to impress people with the sound that they create. Technique is a thing you have to study. I always say you don't need a great sound for good technique, but you need good technique for a great sound.
Oh.
And that means too many people think about technique, and that's the goal to reach. But when you reach that goal, there's a lot more to do after that, and that's reaching a great sonority. And that's all my book goes about this. So I analyzed, of course, all the grips very objectively. Of course, I say from all the grips which is bad too, because every grip has great things, but also have some negative issues about it. Not negative in function to play, but negative in function of sound production. And they need to know what are the negative things, and you need to know what to do to lift it up and to reach with your grip the best sonority you can get. And I explain all in this book.
Okay. Where this book is available?
It's available now. It's just published. It's not yet on the marketing.
Okay.
But there are several dealers like Southern Percussion in London and so on.
Yeah, I will put the link in the video description.
Yeah, okay. It's in the process to be on the market soon.
Okay.
But I didn't have time yet to do that job. But it's a very interesting book. It's very helpful for everyone.
Okay.
And it is very objective, in an objective sense, really described what to do with each grip to reach a better sonority. That's it.
We'll have a look at that.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.